Welcome to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge, your front row seat to the boldest ideas and smartest strategies in the marketing game. Your host is Reed Hansen, Chief Growth Officer at MarketSurge.
Hello and welcome back to Inside Marketing with MarketSurge. Today we are joined by Justin Vajko, who is the founder of Dialog Video Marketing, where he's helped over 150 entrepreneurs turn video content into real conversations, pipeline growth, and booked out calendars. But what makes Justin different? He doesn't just chase views, likes, or viral dopamine hits. He's laser focused on what actually moves the needle, and that's trust, depth, and strategic visibility. In this episode, we dive right into Justin's bold point of view on why most marketing fails and why 500 views from the right people will always beat 50,000 from the wrong ones, and how to craft founder-led video content that converts, even in a world drowning in AI-generated garbage. Expect contrarian takes, real case studies, and zero fluff. If you're tired of making marketing that looks good on paper but does nothing for your bottom line, you are going to love this. Let's get into it. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you, Reed. Happy to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure. So let's start. You've helped 150 entrepreneurs turn video into real sales. So what do you think is the biggest myth around video marketing today?
Well, the biggest myth with video marketing, now I'm going to say this in the context of B2B, right? Because that's our clients, not B2C or in anything like that. But the biggest myth is that it has to be difficult. It has to be this giant project that, we're going to do all sorts of stuff for our marketing. And then every so often we're going to move along. We're going to try to reach and stretch and try to get the video. And it's done. All that planning, months of planning and the expenses and the shooting and so-and-so was sick. Last minute we had to scramble and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't have to be that
Okay.
way.
Well, I think that is something that I had in my mind. That's probably a belief I'm anxious to dispel. Okay, let's talk about your business itself, Dialog Video Marketing. So what did you see as a industry problem that you wanted to solve? And maybe you've already answered that question, but tell us a little bit about the business and its founding.
Yeah, so the founding of the business is why the business exists. So in the fall of 22, I was running a generalist marketing agency. We were doing a little bit of everything for everybody. And one of our clients was an agency. We're working with them white label. And they had a client in LA. He was a broker. He was the number one broker in LA. And he wanted to do some video content on his Instagram. His agency, his entourage, so that was a good idea for him to do. And so we did a remote interview using his webcam. I asked him a few questions for 30 minutes. And it was difficult for him. He was not used to being on video. He didn't make good eye contact. He stumbled over his words. Nevertheless, we made it through the session. We turned his answers from the interview into short clips. They posted it to his Instagram, and his video views went from about 100 on average to up to 4,000 or 5,000 on average. Mind you, these were not awesome videos. Again, these were middling and lower quality because of his comfort on video, but he still got more views. And that was the moment I realized, wait a second, I think there's a market here for companies who are founder-led but don't have their founder in the content, and that was the start of Dialog Video Marketing.
Interesting. Okay, so so specifically, you're saying founder-led, but the founder's not included in the content. So, how does that process work, and what kind? Can you give us some examples of that?
Yeah. So you're saying the process of actually getting the video out there, or what?
Yeah, and what where do you get your ideas?
Yeah. So you bet. So the process evolved from that first interview, tested out a few different models, and really started with the core model of just doing the remote interview with founders, and then giving them their video content. What I learned very quickly within the first few months is if you just give the video content to the founder, they're not going to post it.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole reason they're hiring you is because they don't have time to do video content. And if you give them video content to post, that's more time. So I realized we had to add in some writing services and publishing services in there. So today we remove all of the friction from the video publishing process, the video recording and editing, and we do it all. And all we want our clients to do is show up to the call, with some topics ahead of time that we've sent them. They have them in their mind. We're not asking them to write any scripts. We're not writing any scripts. We're sending topics ahead of time. Hey, we're going to ask you this question. What's the number one, like you did, what's the number one myth about your industry? What's blah, blah, blah. And we want them to read it, have their subconscious work on the problem before the call, show up to the call, and they're much more in the flow because they've prepared for the questions in their mind and their subconscious. And then they're done. That's it. We take care of the editing,
Wow.
the writing, the publishing.
That's awesome.
Because a lot of people forget that just because you have the video content doesn't mean you actually now have it published. Distribution is just as important as the content itself.
So, okay. Well, tell us more. What are some of the nuance in distribution? Is it a question of channels, or like building a high profile social channel, or what
Yeah. So that's a great question. So it's actually a couple things come to mind. First of all, when you're doing founder-led marketing, specifically with video content, so that's that's kind of what we're at, right? It's not just videography. It's specifically trust building video content over time. So what's the best place to put that content? Well, you start with your profile as a founder, and you start with LinkedIn, because again, we're talking about in the B2B context here. So if you're in a B2B context, you're selling commercial real estate, you're selling a SaaS that is for B2B marketers, you're selling some kind of a service like coaching or whatever. You want to be on LinkedIn first and foremost. I know the algorithm has had it's just gotten slashed in terms of the views you get. The point is, though, the truth is LinkedIn is still the king of B2B spaces. So you want to spend 80+% of your time on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, one of the key mistakes for folks who aren't familiar with it, you're going to get like 5 to 10 times more reach from a personal profile than a business page. So you start with a personal profile for two reasons, not just for the reach reason, but also because your network on LinkedIn as a founder is the one that knows you the best. They're going to have the most affinity for you. They're already going to be closest to the sale or closest to the referral. So instead of trying to like build from scratch on your page, which again doesn't get as much reach, and those people may not know you as a founder, start with your personal profile. Now, that's not to say don't publish it to your page. Do the same. You can publish it as a founder to your page, to your profile, but then have the page republish it to the page. The idea is that you're leveraging your profile for reach and for that trust, and then the page also publishes. So that's kind of the distribution you want to do. The second thought there is that a lot of folks forget you have the video content. Well, now you have to upload it, and you have to write a post to go with it. LinkedIn is not like YouTube or other platforms like TikTok or Instagram, where you can get away with just a one-line caption or posts, right? The words that go with the video. You have to write a fleshed out post or a version of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be fleshed out. There's different things you can do. You can hint or tease at what's in the video, but it has to be a really good post in and of itself. And that's because the LinkedIn audience still is not really used to seeing a lot of video content. A lot of people just love reading quickly and moving on with their day. So you have to give them something they can read quickly, because they may not be willing to watch your video, especially if it's on the longer side, something over 60 seconds or so. So you want to basically have a written version of the video to really maximize your value on LinkedIn.
So, you brought up something, and I've noticed on your website you use this term a lot, trust over traffic in particular. Now, and I get the concept, for instance, that you want good traffic that converts over just volume. I'm big on making sure that your metrics aren't just vanity metrics. How do you consult with clients about that? How do you measure that? Like, how do you know you're actually getting good traffic?
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's a couple answers to that. So there's leading indicators and lagging indicators of success when you do any kind of content, specifically video content on LinkedIn. The leading indicators are going to be engagement, but it's actually a false flag. Engagement is actually a false flag of success, of early success. It can be encouraging. I'm not discounting it, right? Some people call it vanity metrics. I don't think it's vanity. I think it is encouraging. Oh, I'm getting, so what does engagement look like? Likes, comments. You're going to get likes and comments probably from peers or partners. Rarely are you going to get likes and comments from prospects on LinkedIn. Very few CEOs, very few decision makers telegraph their intentions before they buy. And so that's the norm. So expect nothing. expect nothing from your prospects on LinkedIn. Now, assuming you're connecting with them, you're adding to your network, you're doing things like that, right? It's not just your network on LinkedIn isn't just 500 other coaches if you're a coach. It's hopefully you're adding business leaders, your ICP. There's a whole strategy there that a lot of people forget. You can't just depend on your network to bring you business. You have to go out and find folks that are your ICP. That being said, there's leading indicators, and you can check your stats on LinkedIn. You can actually see what kind of titles are watching your content and viewing your content, so that's helpful. But on the lagging indicator side, where you really start to know whether your content is performing, especially video content, you're going to hear things like, I feel like I already know you, I watch all of your videos, or I love your videos. Ironically, we work with clients who do different kinds of content. I do different kinds of content. I'm a video guy, but I also do text posts. I do the occasional image post. Ironically, I've found that when people show up to calls and they talk to me, they never reference any of my other content. They always reference my videos. I love your videos. I saw your videos. And I hear the same thing for our clients. So you're going to hear in the sales calls that people are referencing your content, specifically your video content. And that's about it. At the end of the day, marketing is not a very good place to do math, meaning marketing is not designed to be an attribution like problem. You're going to run into problems because every single platform is trying to detach from attribution. And attribution, if you're not familiar with that term, it's basically giving credit to what video or what platform or what click led to this decision. People don't buy that way anyways, right? I might watch a video here. I might go to YouTube. I might read a blog. I might hear through the grapevine. I might do different ways of interacting with your content that you'll never be able to attribute. But what I do know is that if I put out good content over time, and this is what we preach, this is what we do for our clients. If you put out good content over time that is valuable, that is you in it, you're going to expedite the speed of trust, and you're going to get those sales opportunities sooner rather than later.
That's awesome. I'm kind of liking this contrarian, stance you take on a lot of things. And I think it is, I think it's very, very helpful. So let's go in a little bit more onto the actual content. So what makes, for instance, a video more trustworthy or more likely to draw that important traffic?
Yeah.
Is there like a format or
There
key
is.
elements that should be included?
Yeah. Absolutely. Now there's tons of different kinds of videos you can do, right? If you think, okay, video, you might think of like ads on TV, Super Bowl ads. You might think of sketch videos from TikTok where you have two people talking to each other. It's a humorous bit. You might have screen share videos like, here's how I do XYZ task, using this dashboard. The short answer is all of those can work on LinkedIn. Every single one of them. Ads can work if they're well done. Sketch videos, screen shares. The kind of videos we help our clients with are thought leadership videos. So it's talking head videos for the most part. We do help with a few other kinds of formats, but that's the bulk of what we do. And the problem with the talking head video is it gets boring really fast. It's really easy to lose somebody. I will say this. A lot of people think, oh, I do video because I post my podcast clips. That is a start. But that's like saying I eat 3 meals a day. What kind of meals do you eat? Well, I have a granola bar, and then I have a granola bar, and then I have a granola bar. Well, that's not 3 meals a day. That's just, you're snacking. You're not doing good. That's not really the full meal. So when you think about video, you have to think about, is this actually delivering the real value of what I can do? Because I don't know about you, but I've seen a podcast clip many times, and I'm like, I have no idea what they're talking about because it lacks the context. Yeah. So the biggest item of work you got to put into a talking head video is giving as much context in as little time as possible. So the tension between great information and a short amount of time. So I found there's 3 different phases or different things you got to hit to do that well. You got to have a really good hook. You got to have a meaty middle. You got to have a succinct summary or CTA. So let me explain that. If you want to do a really catchy talking head video, you want to first of all think under 60 seconds. You can achieve that with editing. The good news, you don't have to keep it. You don't have to do it all one take. There's all tricks to that trade that we can talk about. But basically, under 60 seconds. Now, within that, you want to have a good hook. The hook is basically how you introduce the video. You don't want to say things like, hi, my name's Justin Stein. I'm the so-and-so at blah, blah, blah. You're going to lose people. They don't care. They want to know what's in it for them. Think of the context of your viewer. They're swiping on LinkedIn, right? Think of the last time you're on LinkedIn, you're swiping, you're reading, you might watch a few seconds and you move on. So people are looking for what's something that's going to grab them and interest them. So a hook is what grabs somebody and interests them in what you're going to say. So for example, I might say, here's one massive mistake you're making with your LinkedIn video. That's an example. And it's a wording hook. You can have visual hooks like jumping into frame and things like that. You can get fancy. Our clients usually don't do visual hooks. They just do word hooks. You want to have a good hook. That's the hardest part about it. That's like what I feel like we could say the big bucket for a lot of them. Like, because it's so hard to think of something creative and reasonable. You can't set unreasonable expectations. You're not going to change someone's life with the hook. It has to be interesting enough, but also realistic. Can't be clickbait. The hook, and then the meaty middle is what we're all really good at really, when we get going, if you talk with a friend over coffee and they're interviewing you, like that's the good stuff. Yeah. And we're all pretty good at that. The problem is we're usually pretty bad at getting to that point. I like to liken it to, like, if you get on the highway, there's an on-ramp. Most of us, if I ask you a question, Reed, or you ask me a question, we don't talk in hooks. We talk in on-ramp conversation. Like, I'm going to get going, I'm going to introduce the topic, and then poof, I'm off to the races. I'm going, and then I off-ramp. So what we do with our clients is we cut off that on-ramp conversation part, and then we add the hook there instead. We actually do the hook after they answer. So we ask them a question, they answer, and then we ask them, well, here's a good hook, say it verbatim. And then they repeat the hook, and then my editor takes the hook, puts it on the front, takes off the on-ramp part, and then you get to the meaty middle. That's the easiest part. I think most of us understand that part. It's like, and this is it's the bulk of the video. And then at the end, you want to give one of two directions. One is a call to action. If you have like a book you've written or a course you're selling, or you're trying to get people to join a mastermind you're joining, if this is interesting you, please check out the blah, 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 right? You're just putting a little call to action. Or the alternative is, you do a mix. You can do a mix of both, by the way, in your content. You can do a succinct summary. So it's like your flag in the ground moment, like the statement you make that kind of wraps it all up. And that's why I believe no one should be alone in business, right? Or something like that. Something that gives people a kind of this inspirational. There's inspirational is just one of the different things you can do. But that structure, hook, meaty, middle, succinct summary, is how you want to do your talking head videos under 60 seconds if you want to get and keep people's attention and actually build your authority on LinkedIn.
Okay. That is very prescriptive, and I appreciate the level of detail. So let's talk a little bit about like AI content and where that fits in. So you've said that I've seen where you've written AI generated content can actually increase the value of founder-led video. Or, tell me a little bit about where you see AI fitting in this landscape. And I think the context is that the genuine engagement trumps, AI, the mass of content we see in AI.
Yeah, I don't know. So you saw that line somewhere that I wrote that it can help.
Yeah, and the context, I believe, was that because of the large amount of AI content out there, that founder-led video. Yeah, and I'm sorry.
Got it. Oh, so it enhances. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
I kind of led with...
With how much AI slop is going out there, if you post a real video of yourself, it's just going to stand out that much more because everyone's like, oh, here's another AI post. Oh, here's another AI post. Oh, here's Francis. Oh, wow, this is interesting, right? Because various reasons for it. The faces of people capture our attention. I used to be a graphic designer, and if you threw into a design a photo of a person or a profile of a person into any kind of a design where it made sense, you're going to get way more attention to it. I don't know what it is about people. We're attracted to faces. We're attracted to people. Mm-hmm. So it's one reason why you want to use video or at least images in your posts. Yeah. That being said, we're in an era of AI. You can't deny that. I use AI in my content. We use AI in a little bit in our video production process to speed things up, not to do any editing per se, although there are plenty of decent video editors out there, AI video editors. So AI is really the biggest thing I think about when I think about AI content on LinkedIn is that's kind of raised the bar for everyone. So if you used to be a bad writer, now you're an okay writer, but now everyone's an okay writer. So what does that mean for everyone that was already okay? Well, you're getting lost in the shuffle. And one of the ways you can stand out, obviously, we just talked about, is just put your face on there. Like, so very, 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 very few people, I want to say this very clearly, very few people do video content, because inside of all of us, we're all anxious middle schoolers. We don't want people to judge us. We don't want to be judged. And video brings the worst out of us, in terms of that fear. I've talked to successful business leaders who've been on stages who are still anxious to do video content because of that fear. It's fascinating to me. I'd love to do a study on it someday. So because so very few people are doing video content now, I want to pause there because you might be thinking, well, hold on. I see so many videos on my feed. What do you mean no one's doing video? No one in your niche. I guarantee there's only a handful of people in your niche who are doing video content consistently. They might do one every 3 months, and it might not be very good. So if you can do video content, first of all, consistently, second of all, and you can make it actually halfway decent, you are automatically going to give yourself an edge on LinkedIn because so very few people in your niche are doing something like that. It's like 1 to 3% of people who have LinkedIn post, 1 to 3%. And I would estimate, there's no data to back this up, but based on my experience, I would estimate it's anywhere from 1 to 10% max actually do video content.
Wow.
So it's like 1% of 1%.
Okay.
It's 1 in 1,000. So especially if you are in a very tight niche, a very kind of nuanced niche, there's not a lot of competitors, you have a massive advantage in terms of the content you're putting out. Now, I know it looks like there's a lot of people posting content, but it's because they're across different niches and it's all getting funneled into one tight little space. It's like there's 1,000 voices and they're all getting put into one place, and that's your feed.
Yeah.
But it's not actually that many in your niche that are posting video content.
Yeah, no, that's encouraging. Now, in the next 12 to 18 months, we're probably going to see further advances in AI. There's going to be other tech, market, economic changes. What do you think will be the, what are the next 12 and 18 months and even beyond going to look like for video marketing in particular?
Yeah, LinkedIn is always what the context what I talk about because of B2B. What I'm seeing though, so I'm going to start with talking about like kind of the algorithms and the platforms. Yeah. I know from experience, because I do post to every platform that exists, barring a couple like Threads, I'm not on there, but TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And what's interesting is, first of all, the conversation around the algorithm. Algorithms are going to change. Like LinkedIn today, what is this, September 2025? A year ago, you were getting 5 times more reach automatically on any kind of content. Last fall, a year ago, you were getting spikes of 100,000 views on videos just because they were testing things with the new video feed they were doing. Now, everything's getting suppressed. So that's LinkedIn specifically. And I know YouTube has been going through a moment now with their long form content as well, where it's kind of dipped. And I'm seeing a lot of YouTubers complain about the lack of views. So algorithms are going to come and go. You're going to see a lot of that in the next 12 to 18 months, as you always have. And so you have to think about this. So that's the first like little lesson. I'm preaching to myself here. Lesson, stay the course, because every platform has ebbs and flows. They have highs and lows in terms of the reach you get for free. So enjoy it while you can, when it's good, but also be aware that it could be suppressed after a while and go back up. Who knows? The goal isn't to get the maximum reach with video content. It's to talk to your audience consistently, and you will get success from that. So that's the first thing I think of, is like algorithms will come and go. New platforms will come and some will go. We've seen that plenty with Clubhouse, for example, recent past. But in terms of how AI, that's the second thing comes to mind, is like, how is AI going to impact things? I think we're going to see a lot more avatar videos as it gets better. I've seen a couple already that were very difficult to see. I've been trained on it. I can kind of see it, but for the untrained eye, it's going to be very difficult to distinguish that. And you're just going to start seeing a split in how folks treat AI video. Personally, I don't have a problem against AI video as long as it's used in training videos or explainer videos or things like that. But you have a lot of these platforms, these AI platforms, that are trying to pitch themselves as like a replacement for places like thought leadership videos, which I think is very unethical. And if you don't believe it's unethical, consider this. And this is what I warn people about. If I or you were to watch a handful of AI videos you didn't know of a thought leader, and they're talking and they're training you on, let's say commercial real estate law, and let's say it's a real estate attorney or whatever, and they're training you, and and then you find out when you meet with them because you want to work with them, that's not actually them, that was their AI avatar. How would you feel when you found that out? You'd feel cheated, at least.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful, and that's where I think the split is going to happen, where you have a lot of people trying out, I'm going to try this, but for the most part, I think most people will recognize, I don't want to replace myself with an AI avatar in that context of thought leadership. But I do think it'll start making its way and muddying the water, so to speak, into that. if it isn't already. I'm sure some people are doing it. We're not seeing a ton of it yet. And those are the two biggest things I think of, platform disruption, social media platform disruptions, and how AI is adding a lot of question marks to the authenticity of content.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Justin, if people would like to work with you, learn from you, have you as a guest, collaborate with you in any form, what are the best platforms to reach you on?
There's a couple. If you want to learn from me, if you want to learn about video content, you're like, yeah, we want to add that to our mix. To connect with me on LinkedIn, you can follow me there. Just look up my name on LinkedIn. I'm the only one. And then if you're interested in working with us and seeing examples of our packages and examples of what client stuff looks like, you can visit us online at dialogwith.us. That's dialogwith.us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Justin. There was so much great content in that, and everything you shared. And I really appreciate you being so generous with our audience. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
Want to stay ahead of what's actually working in marketing right now? Head over to MarketSurge.io and see how we're helping businesses grow smarter, faster, and louder. That's MarketSurge.io, because your next breakthrough shouldn't be a guess.